Back on the SportsMax Zone, in the fast lane now to track and field. Star attractions Elaine Thompson-Herah and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce are set for an early clash in one semi-final of the women's 100 metres on Friday evening's second day of action at Jamaica's Track and Field National Championship, this being staged at the National Stadium in Kingston. Thompson-Herah and the reigning Olympic champion she is, over 100 and 200, and Fraser-Pryce, a 200 in 2008 and 2012, a 100-meter champion at the Olympic Games, were second and third fastest from the first round on Thursday. Here is a list of the top 6 qualifiers, led by the 2016 Olympic 400-meter bronze medalist Shericka Jackson, who logged a lifetime best 10:91. Thompson-Herah and Fraser-Pryce eased to 10:96 and 10:97 respectively. Brianna Williams, the teenager, clocked 11 seconds even. Kemba Nelson at 11.05 and Natasha Morrison 11.06, the next fastest. The men had solid outings as well, led by a season's best 10.03 from Johan Blake, Devonte Burnett 10.05, Oblique Seville and Julian Fort 10.08, along with Taekwondo Tracy and Nigel Ellis 10.13 were the leading qualifiers. Let's go now to the National Stadium, where Leighton Levy, I call him Double L, is watching day 2 of action ahead of the 100-meter semis, which start at 6:25 with the women. The women's final is set for 7:55 Jamaica time, and the men should be lining up at 11:15. 8:15. I'm sorry, 8:15 local time. The men will be lining up for the final. Leighton, I almost envy where you're sitting at the moment there, because within the hour we're expecting to see 2 very hot semi-finals for the women, and with Elaine Thompson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce heading for a showdown. But we have to say Shericka Jackson looked impressive last night as well.
Yeah, she was extremely impressive, Lance. The talk on the ground and among the many journalists here covering this meet is that her coaching staff believes that she is destined for top 5. They think that she's capable of running 10.8 and moving to go even faster in time for Tokyo, because the training has been going very, very well, to the point where they have very, very high hopes about her chances this evening. Not just in the semi-final, but certainly in the final.
Yeah, I'm struggling to hear you, Leighton, because of the track announcer there with the lane assignments and so on. But can you speak very briefly on the issue of some discrepancy over the placing of Fraser-Pryce and Elaine Thompson-Herah in separate semi-finals or in the same semi-final?
Well, what happened, I was told, was that there's a rule that says you seed your 4 fastest runners according to heat. So it's 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. What they had was, because as you know, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was 3rd fastest, and Brianna Williams was 4th fastest, and they both had them running in the same heat, of course, split with Elaine Thompson in the next heat, along with Natasha Morrison and others. But then I was told that there was a protest last night, and a rule that was overlooked was then applied, and then they ended up in the same heat, because Shelly was 3, Shericka 1. So they could not be in the same heat together.
Yeah, it's our understanding, Leighton, that the MVP track club, who of course is in charge of Elaine Thompson-Herah, posited that argument, which almost seems as if they actually wanted Elaine to meet Shelly-Ann in that semi-final.
Read the comments of Steve Francis, who is not Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce's coach anymore, by the way. In the Gleaner today, you would see that you're kind of throwing a little bit of shade, because Shelly's down to run the 200 as well. And Steve Francis, he thinks Shelly will be good for the first 140, as if to suggest that his athletes, one from MVP, the Shericka Jackson, who's also run the 200, and Elaine Thompson, are in a better position to do well in the 200 meters than Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. He says he doesn't know what she's doing. So, I think it's just mind games here, because, stakes, a lot is at stake tonight, and I think mind games are coming to play. So they're trying to getting them in the both heats, in the same heat. Actually, I mean, you would hope that they would hope that Elaine Thompson gets the better of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. As you know, she has a better winning record head-to-head against Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, so maybe they're banking on that as well.
Yeah, all right. Because of the struggles hearing you, we're going to leave it here, Leighton, and we're really anxious to see what happens later on tonight with these 100-meter finals. But thanks for linking with us.
No problem, guys. We all are. We are all. It's been the talking point, the only talking point here tonight. The semifinals and the finals, and even the men too. Not as outstanding as the women, but there is a lot of hope for Davante Burnett and of course Johan Blake and Luke Seville. So there's a lot of talk here, there's a lot of buzz, a lot of energy, even though there's no crowd here. So let's see what happens in about an hour from now.
Yeah. Okay, Leighton. Great talking to you as usual. George, as we said, in about an hour from now, Elaine Thompson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce will clash in a semi-final. The big final comes up later on tonight, and there's a men's final as well with Johan Blake coming in as the favourite, but with some pretty decent efforts as well outside of that. But Shericka Jackson fast last night, a 400-meter specialist, but we know she has displayed even in her youth days the speed to excel in 200 and 100 meters. But to see her clocking 10:91 last night was very heartwarming.
You know, I looked at her profile going into these championships and looked at what her coach said about her in the interview. You know, Stephen Francis rarely gives interviews, and when he speaks, you have to weigh each word carefully, even the prepositions, to see if you can find some meaning behind what he's saying. And he's a straight-up guy, so he doesn't hide much. But the confidence with which he spoke about Shericka Jackson suggested that she was coming to do something special from the championships and do something even more special at the Olympics. My conclusion, Lance, having examined this woman's record, perhaps it is, and when I say this, I mean this, you can adapt this to apply to certain situations. I think she's perhaps mentally the toughest competitor we have in Jamaica right now, for the fact of the events that she has competed in, how she has attacked those events, how it is that in the way that you saw Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, you saw Elaine Thompson, from the moment you saw them, you just knew that, okay, the sky was the limit for them, especially after Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce emerged at trials and then shocked the world in winning gold in her first big outing. The fact is, Shericka Jackson has had to work. She's been in some races where you looked on the start list and you saw someone brilliant there. You may see a Miller Weber or somebody else and you say, all right, she's going to run for a minor place. But the way she went about that work, and now she is refashioning herself to be a 100-meter sprinter good enough, and with a time to boot 10.91, that is compelling us to say, oh, maybe she can get an automatic place on this 100 meters team. You have to be mentally tough to be an athlete, to go 400, 200, and now 100, and be in a position where you're stepping hot among the hottest steppers in the land. This woman isn't ordinary. I'm not putting anything past her.
Yeah, Jordan, what an abundance of riches here for the Jamaican sprint among the ladies, because here we have the teenager Brianna Williams, who is seen as a tremendous prospect for the future, cruising 11.00 last night.
Fantastic.
Looking really, really impressive. And at the moment, based on Shericka Jackson's form and the well-documented class of Elaine Thompson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Williams in trouble to secure a top 3 spot and a place for an individual event.
But here's the thing, you know, and it's no criticism of the young woman. The fact, well, this is the semi-final lineup for one. So Ashanti Moore in 1, Calvert Powell, Kemba Nelson, Shericka Jackson, Brianna Williams in the middle of the track, Natalia White, Cheyenne Hyde, and Ramona Burchell. They say the top 3 fastest from both semifinals, along with the other 2 fastest times, will go to the finals. So semifinal 2, Cameron, Williams, Morrison, Thompson-Herah, and Fraser-Pryce, big guns 1 and 2, whichever way you want to put them, whichever order. In the middle of the track, Sasha Lee Forbes, Shakoria Wallace, and Kevona Davis. Top 3 from each semifinal, automatic into the final, and then the next 2 fastest times accompany them to fill out the lanes. I'm saying about Brianna Williams, Lance, this young woman is awesome. We all know that. And when you talk about certain individuals, you can speak so glowingly about them without having to you fluff it. There's no puffery involved in talking about any of the top Jamaican sprinters. Brianna Williams can get that automatic place on the plane to Tokyo. Make no mistake about it. She's going to have to do something perhaps that she's never done before, but she has the potential to do it. And as you say, it comes back to the original point you made. it's an embarrassment of riches. It's a pity we didn't have this on the men's side.
Yeah, well, the men not doing all that well, but we do expect sub 10 tonight because Johan win 10-0-3, not fully extended last night. We haven't seen a Jamaican man run sub 10 since 2019 when Johan's best time, I think, was 9.96. But he looks in reasonable shape, and there are, some others that are on the verge of the 10-0. There's a semi-final one for the men's 100 meters. Campbell, Barneswell, Seville, Blake, Tracy, Bailey, Jelani Walker, and Andre Ewers. And that's the list there. Blake in 4. The second semi-final has Smith, Minzy, Nigel Ellis, Devontae Burnett, who was 10.05 last night. Julian Ford, his 9.91 personal best. Sinoj J. Gibbons, 9.96. Romario Williams and Bran Level, that's the schoolboy, only 17 years old, coming in there, doing very, very well in the rounds yesterday. So the men not as enticing as the women's field for sure, but because Johan Blake has been at his best, one of the best sprinters we have ever seen in track and field, there is this hope that Johan can come with something special tonight and then probably produce something in Tokyo.
We spoke about back class and pedigree. We spoke about Chris Gale and Fidel Edwards. Johan Blake has all the back class you want to recommend. Mr. Producer, I know you want to move on, but can you give me the starters for the semi-final one of the men again? I just wanted to confirm something to make a minor point before we leave this segment, this section of the segment.
Semi-final one.
Right, so semi-final one. So 16 men. 8 in semi-final 1, 8 in semi-final 2. Only 5 have gone sub 10 in their career. Yeah, that says something. That says something about the depth and the quality of the sprinting that we have at our disposal, because in former years, there'll be many more men with 9 points beside their name.
Yes.
But the fact is that, look, yes, I agree, it is watered down. It is weak, but Mr. Blake isn't worried about that. The other guys aren't worried about that Julian Ford, because guess what? Today is not the Olympic final, and the Olympics aren't next week either. So it's about building from this point to Tokyo, hoping you get there healthy and in a shape to run fast. Yeah,
so we look forward to see what happens. And of course, on Monday's SportsMax Zone show, we'll be reviewing and looking at the top performers of the weekend's national championships, and obviously the result tonight of the women's and men's 100-meter finals.
The world will be watching the women.
Very
you
much
realize
so.
that?
The USA, especially the Americans, Americans have not had an Olympic 100-meter champion in the women's division since 1996 with Gail Devers. And with Shakira Richardson blowing up a storm at the moment, there's a lot of hope from the US standpoint that they can break that trend.
Can I give you this one too as well? Because remember, the US have the distinction of having 4 consecutive women win gold in the 100 meters at the Olympics. Jamaica is now 3 straight. So the next winner, if the next winner is Jamaica, Jamaica joins the US as the countries that have had 4 women consecutively winning 100 meters gold at the Olympics. And that's something that I'm sure the Jamaicans want to tick off.
Yeah. The Olympic Corner today, Michaela Brown tells us what the president of the Tokyo Olympic Organizing Committee is saying about spectators at the rescheduled games.
Events. Organizers seem to back down slightly on fans after a COVID-19 panel for the Tokyo Metropolitan Government reported on Thursday that there's a sign of resurgence of infections in Tokyo. The panel said infections grew by 11% in the last week, based on the 7-day average, with more of the contagious Delta variant cases being detected. Organizers say they will take another look at fans after the current quasi-state of emergency ends on July 11. The games, which were originally scheduled to take place in 2020, were pushed off to this summer and are set to open on July 23. That's it for today's Olympic Corner. Do remember to watch the SportsMax Zone for your daily Olympic updates.